Hey guys, it's Alex coming at you from Southern California. This is going to be an entry into Rob down in Spain. His channel is Sound Strange 500 subs contest. Perhaps the VC's first real contest, where probably there will only be one winner of his choosing, not randomly, but on the merits based on his very interesting questions. Rob, I love your channel. I've been watching for a long time. Really value your perspective, not just on music and art, but on life in general. So thank you for doing this, and thank you for challenging your audience into a very interesting competition here. So what's playing here is the answer to your first question, which is a record with a literary reference. So this is a record by Spanish artist, appropriately, Rob. His name is Pep Llopis, and this is Hoy Música La Nau des Argonautas from 1987 on the outstanding Spanish label Grabaciones Accidentales. So this is sort of this music that Pep composed. Supposed to back the poetry, and the poet was a guy from Valencia, Salvador Hafer. I'm sure you know him, Rob. I believe it sounds like he's a fairly renowned poet, at least in Spain, and I think he's a professor in Valencia. But so he created these compositions to back some live readings of that poetry that was going to happen at a festival in 1986. He then took those and created this record, and you can hear some of the Catalan poetry here in the background as well. And as you can tell, it's an amazing record with Pep playing the synthesizer. There's vibraphone, there's flute, there's percussion, marimba, violin, and Pep's brilliant synthesizer, which you can tell is a little bit of that Berlin school influence, but very much its own thing, like a lot of things on this label. Really highly recommended. Pep Llopis. Second question, a record having to do with art. So, and I've shown this one before. So the artist is Harry Bertoia. He was born in Italy and spent most of his life in the United States. Harry Bertoia, was an artist on many levels, but these records, and this one in particular, are all about his these sound sculptures, sound fields, really, that he created out of metal bars, essentially. It's kind of hard to tell, but yeah, those are individual bars of different alloys and metals that have different resonance characteristics. And he put out these amazing recordings in his own label, Sonambient, sort of documenting some of the compositions that he made with him, physically manipulating these sculptures. So an artist that really blurred the lines between sculpture in this case, although he also painted and did other art in other media, but this one really is a fantastic, very interesting artist. Third question, album with a historical reference. This one, a very obvious one. I have shown this one before as well, but really wanted to show it again, and certainly very appropriate for the times. There's a big quote here in the gatefold from Malcolm I believe that there will ultimately be a clash between the oppressed and those who do the oppressing. I believe that there will be a clash between those who want freedom, justice, and equality for everyone, and those who want to continue the systems of exploitation. So, yeah, about as prescient, sadly, as it gets, accidentally. So this is by Phil Corin, great Chicago composer, band leader, jazz artist, worked with Sun Ra early in his career, and then split off, and had these amazing, larger ensembles of, incredible, political, spiritual, great record. Malcolm X Memorial by Philip Corin and the Artistic Heritage Ensemble. This is a live recording from 1968 in Chicago. Foreign language record. So this is a record by Jeli Musa Diawara. He is a kora player from West Africa, and this is I don't know when the recording was made. This record was put out in 1983 by a French label, and then interestingly distributed by Celluloid. And maybe I'll I can needle drop this one. So this is from the very first note, this is just a joyous record. There's the kora, there's like a West African percussion instrument that you hear there. It's very similar to a marimba, except there's a gourds, like dried gourds on the bottom of the wooden keys to amplify the sound. So Diawara, he was a griot, a traveling, artist, and throughout West Africa. Like I said, a master kora player, and I'm pretty sure this is him on vocals. At least that's what the back of the record credits him as the vocalist. As you can tell, it's sort of almost like a childlike. That's the chorus, and then that's him there. Unfortunately, I don't know what language this is in. There's so many dialects in that region of the world, and it doesn't say in the liner notes anything about what language this is. But like I said, just a beautiful, joyful record. I really love this one. So that was Jeli Musa Diawara, 1983. And this has been reissued a lot of times since, so it should be fairly easy to get a hold of, especially in Europe. If you don't know that one, wrong. Alright, so I think that's okay, and then the next one you have to pull out. So a record that taught me something. This is Meditations by John Coltrane, of course. So there's a sort of a transition record. McCoy Tyner was still with the group, but before Alice Coltrane replaced him. But Rashid Ali and Pharoah Sanders are already part of the group here, and so he's got Rashid Ali and Elvin Jones on drums, then Pharoah and McCoy still in the group. So this is a record that, well, is a CD that I bought about 21 years ago. It was really my first my first formal introduction into Coltrane's music, which is, of course, hardly where you would recommend somebody start. Sorry about the glare. Let me take this off. But I remember at the time it really opened my ears. Even though I wouldn't take a true deep dive into free jazz till a few years later, I think this really planted the seeds for me in terms of what Coltrane was all about, right? It's this sidelong track, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Sorry, it's not sidelong, but it's like most of side one. It's just a track that to this day it's just it's really one of his best tracks in my opinion. And it's both challenging and accessible to some degree. So I really highly recommend this. One of my favorite Coltrane records. Absolutely. What else? Okay, so second half of the questions here, of course, all about you, Rob. And of course, if you watch some of the video responses, and admittedly I have watched a couple. I did watch Stun Rock Confusion's brilliant response earlier, and then Mazzy, who I think had jumped on it right away. I was kind of curious to see where he would go with it. Let's just say that through research on one of your other social media platforms, which I really enjoy what you do there as well, Rob. I really knew that 1974 was your year of birth. And so obviously that makes the rest of the questions a little bit easier. Of course, still quite challenging, but so soundtracks. I do think Stunt Rock Confusion is 100% right. Let me see if I can find it real quick. There it is. So Rob, I do think that you have this record by Alain Goraguer, La Planète Sauvage. And I think it's a record that even people that don't have a lot of soundtracks will tend to have, just because the music is so great and so much stands up on its own, regardless of the film. So I think that's one for sure. That's from 1973. The other one that I have here, it's a little bit of a stretch, but it's a great film, and it's got a great score by Jerry Goldsmith, who also did the score for Chinatown the year later, I think in 1974. So the movie soundtrack is of the movie Papillon, which is based on a French novel, and the movie stars Dustin Hoffman, Steve McQueen. A really excellent movie about the hardships of prison life. If you think Shawshank Redemption is good, I mean, this is so much better, a lot more interesting. So that's also from 1973. I think you might have that one. Next question: records from then the year of your birth, 1974, and the month. So I chose May of 1974. I'm not sure why, but let's go with May. And I went with David Bowie's Diamond Dogs, May of 1974, and Henry Cow's Unrest also came out in May of 1974. Never seen you show them, but we'll see. The next one is composers that you have the most of in your collection. So again, doing some research, on what you've posted on one of your other social media platforms. I think Stun Rock is exactly right. That Boulez has to be one of the two answers there. And going with another B, it was between Beethoven and Bach, and I think Bach, him being the sort of the father of classical music, and him being fairly prolific, and so many different interpretations of his works that have existed over the years. I think Bach, so Bach and Boulez. Now the last two questions, guitar player that inspired you to learn to play the guitar and to name the titles of the songs that you played. I think Stun Rock hit it out of the park, and honestly, I don't think I would have ever guessed that particular artist. It's an artist that I know the name, but I don't think I've really ever heard any of his music. So that's it. I think that's all the questions. Rob, I hope you enjoyed that. Keep doing what you do. Love your channel. Congrats again. Really look forward to watching some of the other submissions to your contest. Anyway, take care, guys.